Welcome to Whiskies, a Journey. My name is Peter Faciano. This is the first Friday flight fight of May. As you know from the thumbnail, these are going to be Ardbeg. I don't know how this is going to go. Ardbeg has a very strong flavor profile and very strong peated profile as well. So I'm kind of throwing myself out here, a little bit of a challenge to see if I can distinguish the difference between the 6 Ardbegs that I have in my collection. If you're not familiar with this segment, I take a distillery, takes the offerings that they have in a certain lineup, and I put them up against one another, and then I will rank them in order in which I like. I have them all in these Glencairns with the labels on the bottom, just so I can kind of keep track in the end of the video what I've been tasting, and then I have all of the bottles over here. I'm going to reveal to myself at the very end of the video what I've been drinking. And as you go, or as I go through these tastings, the nosings and the tastings, I'll flash a picture of the bottle up so you have an idea of what it is that I have been tasting. I left the lids on because I don't want to be overwhelmed with the amount of peat. I've got the 10, the Uigeadail, the Wee Beastie, the Corryvrecken, the Hypernova, and the Ardcore. Those are the glasses that I have in front of me. Obviously, I mixed them up, so I don't know which one is going to contain which Ardbeg. Holy cow. That is an insane amount of peat already. Not only that, but it's also very sweet. So I've got my water. I've got my pad of paper and pencil. I also do need to let you know, this is probably going to take me an hour. Each time I take a sip of the glass, I really need to make sure my palate rests so I can get a clear picture of what the next glass is going to be about. It's going to be challenging, but I'm going to do my best. Please stick with me as I go through this. This is the 3rd video in the month of March. Just to let you know, I have a March giveaway happening. The rules to that giveaway are in the description below. I am batch shooting a bunch of videos at the very beginning of March because I'm going to have surgery. I've already had surgery on my chest. I've got this big open, well, it's not open, but it's bandaged. I've got some sutures here. I've got some surgery happening on my back. It's just one of those things that you have to deal with in Arizona. Do not forget to get your yearly skin checkup. Don't skip that. It's very important to catch anything pretty early. And I don't know how my back is going to react to the surgery. So I might be laid up for a while. I know I'm not supposed to be drinking alcohol during the surgery. So I wanted to batch shoot as many videos as I can to get things in the queue. So if I do end up getting laid up, I have some content for you. Like, subscribe, share, do all those things that YouTubers ask you to do. Turn that bell notification on because I produce videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, with that out of the way, I'm going to start on my left, work my way to the right. I'm going to nose them first, and then I'm going to go through and taste them. Go off camera, really let my palate settle down, and then come back with an order. All right, so glass number 1. Smells like an Ardbeg. Peat, to me, comes across 3 different ways. It can come across as a Band-Aid, iodine, tarry, medicinal kind of note. Then I've got the campfire, burning log type profile. And then I've got sweet, savory, burnt meat, charred meat, smoked meat. And that's what Ardbeg comes across to me. It is a sweet, savory, smoked meat type of profile. It's salty, it's briny, it's sweet, and it is smoked meats. And I think that is my favorite profile of peat. I get vanilla, brown sugar, it's smoky sweet. And again, it's going to be very difficult for me to pick out differences, I'm thinking, because I'm not really familiar with some of these Ardbeg bottles, but that we're off to a good start right now. All right, let's go ahead and move on to glass number 2. Well, as soon as I said that, first and second glass smell completely different. I mean, a whole lot different. Glass number 2 is not as vibrant as glass number 1 at all. This is much more fruity. This is much more subdued as peat can be. I get a little bit more of a vegetal note or floral note coming out of this one. It's not as sweet, and there's more of a smoky note than a peat note coming out of the glass. Wow, that's amazing. And there's on the back end, now that I'm smelling it a little bit more, there is a fruity note to it, a sweet component. But it's not nearly as sweet as glass number 1. All right, let's move on to glass number 3. Get these things rolled in the glass. Okay. Yeah, I think we're on to something here. They're definitely smelling quite different from one another. That's why I think it's important for me to take my time in between each one. Now we're back to a smoked meat, red fruits, briny, peaty, salty. This smells pretty close to the first one. Yeah, they're pretty close. I think I like the smell of glass number 3 more than glass number 1. All right, let's go and move to glass number 4. Let me know in the comments down below while you're watching me do all this, which Ardbeg do you like? Are you an Ardbeg fan? I know there's like these different camps, whether you're a Laphroaig or a Lagavulin or an Ardbeg. If you are a peated Scotch lover, which one do you prefer the most? And within their lineup, which one do you like the most? All right, this is kind of dead on the nose compared to the first 3. Comes across as sweet, but it's missing all of that smoky, meaty, briny salt. I'm actually struggling to get much from it at all. And I have them in the black Glencairns because I know some of them are a little darker and some of them are a lot lighter, and I didn't want to give anything away to myself, but I wouldn't be able to tell you if I went down the list which one was darker than the other. I know Uigeadail is because that's the one that I like the most, and that one's pretty dark because I believe it has a sherry influence in it. But the others could be darker, could be lighter. I wouldn't really know if I were to just point them out and say that one is this one based on the color. But just in case, I wanted to hide the colors from me. There's a pepper note that's coming through. Light fruit, grilled pineapple, grilled peach. Kind of shying away from the red fruits, but there still might be a little bit of a red fruit note there. But I think it's more on the lines of a light grilled fruit with more of a peppery note and a subdued peat note. Yeah, middle of the pack so far on that one, on the nose. All right, glass number 5. This has an immediate reaction of, this smells like a bourbon. This has a lot of vanilla forwardness, like an ex-bourbon barrel was used, hiding behind the peat note. And the peat's a little bit of it's almost bordering the smoked log and meat savory side. Yeah, those light grilled fruits are coming through as well. Maybe it has a little bit more vapor coming out of the glass. I don't know if it was just because it was sitting there for a while, but this seems to be more proofy on the nose than the others. Wow, it smells really good. I think that has the most robust nose of all of them. I don't know if it's the best robust nose, but it's definitely coming through as the most vibrant. All right, let's do glass number 6, and then we'll go ahead and run through a tasting. Man, that smells amazing. Yeah, I think so far, this one on the nose comes across to me as like Ardbeg. Sweet, briny, salty, smoky meat, grilled fruits, vanilla, tobacco, leather. Yeah, this one smells absolutely amazing so far. Yeah, of all of them on the nose, I would say this one takes the cake. Wow, can't wait to taste that one. All right, let me write my notes down and then we'll get to tasting. All right, let's get number 1 on the palate. I have 2 sections of my paper, one for the nosing and one for the palate. So cheers, everybody. Let's get number 1 on the palate and get this thing going. All right, based on what I am getting on the palate, I expected the sixth glass to taste exactly like this one is tasting. It is briny, salty. It is Ardbeg at its core. It is a smoked meat, vanilla, grilled peach, grilled pineapple bomb. This is really good. If the rest of them are like this is going to be extremely difficult to figure out which one I like the most. I wouldn't say that the proof on this is very high, but there is a tingling sensation, kind of like effervescent. It is vanilla. I wouldn't be surprised if that one is more bourbon than sherry, because it does come across as a little bit vanilla forward. It's very sweet. It's very fruity, salty, briny. That's absolutely amazing. I like that. Let me get the notes down and we'll move on to glass number 2. All right, and glass number 2. Man, so much different on the nose than glass number 1. All right, let's get this thing on the palate. This one is upfront, salty, briny, smoked meat, followed by all of those light grilled fruits, peaches, pineapple. On the back end, it really sinks in with some oak, some depth of flavor. It's a little bit proofy, and I would say there is a touch, not a lot, but there is a touch of red fruit, but that vanilla note and those light fruit notes are coming across as well. Even though those notes are kind of similar to glass number 1 maybe has a stronger backbone of the distillate, and I'm not hit with all of those other superfluous kind of, and I don't mean that to be demeaning, but it just kind of has this circle of notes around what I think Ardbeg tastes like. So even though this is very strong, like glass number 1, I think it has more nuances sitting around the outside of the actual whiskey itself, if that makes sense. If I had to guess, this is going to be finished in something, because glass number 1 was just so dominant with what I felt is a bourbon barreled matured peated scotch, and that has more of a fruit component to it that suggests maybe some sort of finish. Could be wildly off base, but that's just my assumption. So let me get that note written down before I forget. All right, glass number 3. So far, glass number 1 and 2 are amazing. All right, let's get this one on the palate. All right, so this one is very subtle. It's not as dynamic as glass number 1 and 2. That campfire peaty note, along with some salt and brine, it's not as complex or as robust as glass number 1 or 2. It's lacking a sweetness that glass 1 and 2 had. I think this is more peat forward and less about the fruit, the grilled fruit, the vanilla. It lacks the depth, and it's a little bit more circled around or centered around the peaty note. Yeah, that one is much different. I thought these were going to taste very similar, and so far, the first 3 are different than one another. Taking a lot of time in between. Both of my recorders just kicked on. I think hopefully they don't overheat, because I think I'm about 30 minutes into the video already. Let me capture my notes down and then get to glass number 4. All right, on to glass number 4. All right, so that one is very strange on the palate. It got very ashy, very charcoaly. Like, I don't know if you've experienced this. With campfire, you would wrap your food in tinfoil, you would throw it on the fire, a coal got in there, and then you chomp down on the coal. It's kind of like that. It's burnt wood, ashy, and that's pretty much it. I think that note dominates what's in here. It is a little bit salty, but what I'm missing is that sweet, savory, peaty note that were in the first 2 glasses. Not sure if this is gonna rank up there very high. That's like a one note wonder, and that one note with that peaty, ashy note may not be the best. Let me get that written down and move on to glass number 5. All right, glass number 5. Wow, that is Pop Rock's vanilla. This tastes like a peated bourbon. It's a little bit hot, not in a bad way, but it maybe not hot. It has a little bit of proof to it. It's vanilla candy sweet. We're still looking at a sweet smoked meat, savory type of peat. It's not ashy. It is not campfire smoke. This almost reminds me a little bit of glass number 1. 1, 2, and 5 right now are in the running for my top glasses. Wow, that one is really good. And it's lingering. There is a good amount of heat, ABV, that just kind of sits there. That peated note is lingering. It's very sweet, grilled fruit, vanilla, pineapple. Yeah, the finish on that one is tremendous. And it's crazy that I'm actually saying a finish on these because I thought by this point my palate would be saturated, but that is good. I really do like how those flavors are lingering around. It's not bitter. It's got a good sweet peaty note, the light fruits. I wouldn't say that I'm picking up on a lot of salt and brine on the palate. That to me is pretty well put together. Probably the most cohesive of all of them, but not the most dynamic of all of them. That's going to fall into glasses number 1 and 2. Well, I really like that one. Let me get all of those notes down and move on to the last glass. Last glass, got to tell you, this is going a lot better than I thought or expected it to be. Again, I thought my palate would be blowing out. I think spending a lot of time in between these is really helping. Man, I'm really looking forward to this one. All right, cheers, everybody. Meh, that was a little disappointing. That is all smoke and no depth. Oh, I just felt something hit my, I didn't see it. It's in my toes. Something just hit my stomach. There's the sticky note. I didn't see it, but I did feel it fall off. So that is all smoke. I'm not getting a lot of depth there. It is salty, it is briny. There's a little bit of vanilla. There is a sweet note, but it is hidden behind the smoked meat savory, or the smoked meat savoriness. So it's kind of lacking the depth that I expected it to have. And maybe I shouldn't have expected anything, and maybe that's kind of skewing my tasting results. But it came across as a little flat. The palate did not match the nose, and it's hiding the nuances, or it's hiding some of the flavors that may be nuanced in the glass. That's a little bit of a letdown. So what I'm going to end up doing is going off camera. I think I have a pretty good idea of my bottom 3 and my top 3, and my top 3 are going to be very difficult to figure out the order for those. I think my bottom 3 are pretty easy. So I'm going to go off air, re-verify what I took down as my palate and nosing notes, and then when I come back, I will reveal my order. All right, I have a decision. Going into the off-camera stuff, I thought I had a pretty good, clear understanding of the bottom 3 and the top 3. That did not change. As I went through and retasted the bottom 3, here's what I got. In 6th place, glass number 4. It was a one-note wonder, and it was just dominated by smoke. That was pretty much it. In my 5th place was glass number 3. The only reason glass number 3 outshined glass number 4 was because it had as I said, it was flat, it was peaty and sweet, not a lot of depth, but it was better than number 4 because it was slightly sweeter. I really could not tell the difference. There was a difference. I shouldn't say that. There was definitely a difference, but I think the sweet note out of here elevated it a little bit more, other than it just being peated. That was it. But I think they were both pretty much just a one-note pour. Not a lot of depth beyond the peat note. And then in my 6th, 5th, 4th place was glass number 6. Got to tell you, this one was the most disappointing to me because the nose promised something completely different than what I got on the palate. And I think the nose is what saved this one, that I put it over glass number 3. So glass number 6 got in 4th place. I said the nose saved it, but it was peat sweet with not a lot of depth, but the sweetness that I got out of here was a little bit more complicated or a little bit more nuanced and complex. And that's the reason why I ended up putting glass number 6 over glass number 3. And I do need to tell you, these are all good. If you like Ardbeg, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these. So those are my bottom 3. And I put the bottles up here, and they should be here, but Ardbeg labels might look a little bit similar. So I hope you guys can see them as I'm putting them up here. My top 3 was it was a difficult decision until I ended up getting a specific note in my 3rd place that immediately put it into 3rd place. It knocked it out of the top tier. So in 3rd place, I ended up putting glass number 5. I said that it was a peat vanilla bomb with very sweet grilled light fruits. And then on the very back end of the finish, and it took a couple of seconds for this to show up, which is what put it into 3rd place, there was a tinge, a sourness, or a little bit of a bitterness on the finish that put me off of this being in contention for 1st place. Still really good, but this ended up dropping down to 3rd place. Glass number 1 and 2. This was probably one of the most difficult decisions I've had to make in any of my first Friday flight fights. And there was one thing and one thing only that separated the two of them. So in glass number 1 and 2, I said the exact same thing. It was distillate driven. I think these are Ardbeg to the T. The sweet, the salty, the briny, the smoked meat, fruity side, the pineapple, the grilled peaches, they're both present in here. So in 2nd place, I put glass number 1. Distillate driven, smoked meat, peated, sweet vanilla, salt, brine, and grilled peach and pineapple. And the only reason I chose glass number 2 over glass number 1 was the addition of red fruit, figs, dates, raisins, and plums. I think glass number 1 is exactly like glass number 2 with the addition of red fruit. And that is the only thing that is separating glass 1 from glass number 2. So glass number 2 takes my 1st spot. So let's go ahead and figure out, or now reveal to myself, what it is that I've been drinking and reveal the bottles. In last place, but not saying that it's not any good, because it is. Every single one of these are good. Glass number 4, and I have no clue. I'm not even going to guess what they are. So glass number 4 ended up being the Ardcore. So the Ardcore, I do believe was, and I'll just go ahead and put this up here. So Ardcore, I do believe, was a committee release, and the committee releases are coming out like every 3 days. So I can't keep up with them, and I'm sure you might be in the same situation that I am. In my 5th place was glass number 3, and glass number 3 was, I looked at this as an S. Glass number 3 was Ardbeg 5, the Wee Beastie. So Wee Beastie is, I believe, their youngest age statement that they have. In 4th place was glass number 6, again, the most disappointing one within the flight. I really thought I was in store for something really special with glass 6 based on the nose. Glass number 6, again, the nose saved it from being in 5th place. So glass number 6, I end up, oh, this makes perfect sense. All right, so glass number 6 is the Hypernova. I do believe this is another committee release, and I don't think I have the actual bottles of the committee release, but Hypernova, I do believe, was supposed to be their most heavily peated expression up to the point of this release. So those are my bottom 3. My top 3, so I have the 10, I have the Uigeadail, and I have the Corryvrecken left. In third place, glass number 5. Again, glass number 5, the one thing that kept this out of the top 2 or top place was that I don't know, that there was a little bit of a tang, or a little bit of like a click. I don't even know how to explain it the best way, but there was something about the finish at the very, very back end of the finish that kind of turned it, and it kind of like, I'm like, oh, what is that? That ended up putting this into third place. And third place was the Corryvrecken. I think this is the newest bottle that I have in my collection. A lot of people that are Ardbeg fans suggested that I get this. I got it, and I am not disappointed, so thank you very much. So that leaves Uigeadail and 10. This is no surprise to me that these two are still sitting on the table. And I know what they are. This is the 10, this is the Uigeadail. The 10 has, and I'm just going to verify it, yes. So this is the 10, and then this is the Uigeadail. So in second place is the 10. 46% ABV. This is a screaming from the top of the hill, I am Ardbeg. The distillate that they produce shines bright with this. And I got to tell you, the only thing that separated first from second place is the sherry finish. That's it. I can see myself going back and forth, being in a mood and drinking the 10 over the Uigeadail or drinking the Uigeadail over the 10. It really is a 1A and a 1B. But based on my profile for today, I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards a sherry matured or a sherry finished, and the Uigeadail, I think I'm pronouncing that correct, has a sherry component to it. I got to tell you, I am a huge fan of peated Scotch. This flight did not disappoint. I thought they would be a little bit closer together, and I think it was a good call by my part by taking my time in between these and extending the entire video. I know this was a long video, and I think I'm up to about an hour and 15 minutes of sitting here unedited, and I think that was a benefit. I really did dissect each of these, and there were significant differences between each glass. That's where I'm going to leave it. Again, like, subscribe, share, turn that bell notification on. I produce videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you're interested in supporting the channel, I have a March giveaway happening. The rules to that giveaway are in the description below. And again, I should be laid up at the time that this video airs for the first time, so wish me well. Cheers, everybody, and I will see you again on Monday.